What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It's Thursday, April 7th. It's kind of a big week. This is Blinker's off. What's up, man?
I got a question for you before we start tonight.
Okay.
Was Magic wearing a V-neck today?
I think he was. I think it was one of those like a dickie. He had a dickie on earlier, I think. I think he took it off.
Okay. I was just making sure. Like I saw a video with you and it looked like he had a V-neck. Saw a video of Dr. Miranda, looked like he had a V-neck. Magic Mike looked like he had one. I don't know.
He the other day we were doing a show or a preview, and he's like, he like literally just took his shirt off right on like before he's like had a switch. He has a closet or a hanging rack right next to him where he's like, I got to change shirts so that way when I do these, it looks like I have a different shirt on each time. Like, dude, the commitment.
It's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. No, I thought it was a V-neck, and so I just wanted to confirm with somebody who had been on a video with him today. Thankfully, I have not. It's one of those days where I have not been on a video with him, because if he had a V-neck shirt, I would tell him to change it, most likely.
I try not to look at him directly at all when I do these.
It's like looking into the sun.
Yeah, I just show up, I listen for his cues, and I just talk. That's it. So then I get off.
Cues.
That's it. Oh man, what's up, everybody? It is a huge show, huge weekend. This is it. It's the final weekend, the final prep. Well, you have Lexington, but we won't count. That's on Wednesday. The final weekend of preps, and you have 3 of them, and they're all worth 100 points. And it's like a tier. I feel like it's a tiered, like one's, a large field, but maybe not the greatest field. One's interesting, and then one's got like superpower chucked full in it somehow in the smallest field of the bunch. So we'll get to all of those. It's a huge weekend. This is it. I mean, every race. That's what's kind of cool about this weekend. Every race is a make or break for pretty much everyone in it. It's time for them to either show up or go away. Really, this is it. And you have horses like Emmanuel, and then Smile Happy, and of course Forbidden Kingdom and Messier, and then Taba's entered the mix, and then you have early voting, Morello, and it goes on as far as horses that need to make that. Okay, we went from being interesting or we think we're really good to they are the real deal in order to keep up with the epicenters, the White Barrios that we've been seeing the last couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy how this thing is shaping up, and this weekend is just stacked full of stakes races at these 3 tracks that we're going to have. Derby preps, it really feels like you've got the main event out in California, and then kind of some undercard races, so to speak, with the Wood and the Bluegrass. But I will say about those 2 races, like I kind of talked about the Arkansas Derby, there's a chance somebody could jump up and really surprise us, run really well. There's just more of a chance we're going to see a better horse out in Santa Anita. Just like last week, there was more of a chance we'd see a better horse in Florida. That turned out to be the case. Maybe we'll get surprised this week, but it's still just awesome racing. Keeneland's got a great card. This Aqueduct card is pretty solid as well on Saturday. Short fields at Santa Anita, but the late sequence has some larger fields. So a lot of just awesome stuff. I mean, these are the weekends we live for. To put it cheesily.
This I never thought I'd say this, but we're going to the Bluegrass, and the weather forecast is making me think maybe we should we go to the Wood in Aqueduct? I don't know, dude. It's gonna snow. It literally is forecasted to snow, and if it's not gonna snow, it's gonna be fucking freezing.
Yeah, so, you're screwed either way. Yeah, it is what it is, right? You got to suck it up. That's the best way I can put it. Got to suck it up, Jared. I don't know. I can't believe it's going to snow. It's crazy, but here we are. We're in the snow. So I don't know. It's depressing to think that that's how it's going to be. But as long as the track is not too wet, as long as they're running on the turf, I'm going to be happy about it.
The way I handicapped it was, all the horses that love snow. So that's the way I kind of looked at this. Anyone that ran in snow, that's what I went for it? Nothing? I got no reaction out of you for that? I thought that was pretty funny.
For what?
That I handicapped based on snow, horses that like snow?
I thought you were being serious.
I don't think you were listening. I think that's part of the problem.
I
That's
was
what
listening.
happens. You thought I was serious? Have you ever seen in the form that you can look for a horse that likes snow?
Thought you were using a new product, something I didn't know about.
Yeah. Jeez. It's been a long day, I think, for you. All right. Before we get into it, last weekend we were at the Arkansas Derby. Of course, you also had the Florida Derby that same day and the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Real quickly, we'll go through them. Obviously, the main threat of the three, the one that came out, White winning the Florida Derby. This horse has done nothing but been impressive this year since turning his 3-year-old. Continues to look good. Did it a little bit different style this time, off the pace and really pounced. Charge It was a really impressive second. Of course, Simplification third. He's already in. All three of those horses are in. Sounds like all three will be going as well to the Kentucky Derby. So, thoughts on White Barrio?
Good, really solid. I think we went into that race thinking that there's some solid horses in here, maybe not a Derby winner. And I think we come out of it thinking the same kind of thing. He went very wide, right? That was the big thing. So yeah, his speed figure was a little low, but man, he had to run a long ways in that one. He ran on well, pretty nice performance. Liked him a lot. Charge It. To me, it's just too much too quick, right? This horse just it's going into the Kentucky Derby off, a maiden win, and then just the nice second place effort. He was green in this race. How's he going to handle Kentucky? I'm just not quite sure. And then Simplification is who we kind of thought he was, right? He's good. He's really serviceable. You'd love to own him. I don't think he can win the Kentucky Derby. That's how I looked at those three.
Classic Causeway. This horse was, one of the shorter prices, of course, going into the race. He'd been really good at Tampa. We kind of wondered what he would be. Showing up in a class maybe that's a little bit better. His numbers weren't coming back super strong. He got tested, and boy, he just said, forget this. I'm not doing it. Finished 11th in the Florida Derby. Just was awful. Nothing was wrong with the horse. He checked out fine. So do you think they run in the Derby after that? And two, if they do, he's gone from contender to just throw out now.
He's a throwout for me too. He kind of was that way. I'm not going to say fully, but I wasn't a huge fan of his to begin with. But yeah, it is what it is at this point. You can't run last in the Florida Derby and think you're going to go win in Kentucky, right? It's just not going to happen. The thing with him, he was kind of skeptical anyway, right? As a 2-year-old, he got beat when he faced the better horses. He went to Tampa as a 3-year-old and beat up on some horses that I don't think are very good. He's better than last in that field. It's like something happened to him, but I still don't think he's a serious contender. Listen, you need to finish most years. The horse that finishes first or second in these last preps are the ones that win the Kentucky Derby. So he certainly is not that.
Yeah, no. And I agree with Charge It. I really hope they run in the Derby, and I really hope this horse takes money, which he will, because he is going to be the hype horse in terms of kind of not the main, threats, just because of how he does. He did look very impressive in the Florida Derby, and don't get me wrong, I do think he's got a pretty bright future ahead of him, but this is just a lot to ask. He was very green. He probably should have won the race, really, the Florida Derby. And he just was all over the place, and you can blame Saez or not. I don't really care, because that horse, he did kind of give himself some of this issues himself. So I think Charge is talented. He's a Belmont horse for me. Maybe he runs like so in the Derby, has some traffic troubles because it's not going to get better there. And then obviously takes the Preakness off and then runs in the Belmont. To me, that would make a lot of sense. And I would love for them just to not even run in the Derby, Peter Pan, Belmont, something like that. But that's not going to happen.
Probably I'm not going to say it's the worst thing, but I'm with you. Boy, I wish he would have got third and not made the Derby, and he could prep in the Peter Pan. That'd be such a really good race for him. I really like him as a Belmont type as well. It's just the problem of, that Derby sometimes with an inexperienced horse, it'll take a lot out of him and it'll kind of screw him up. I hope that doesn't happen with him. So with you, I think he's got a lot of class, or maybe not a lot of class, but a lot of talent, and he's lacking in class, is what I should have said. Because you're right. If you watch that race, mid-stretch, he's floating out, struggling, cracking once to the right, and he just shot. He took off. He passes simplification like he's standing still. And honestly, from that point on, we'll never know. But I think if you just hand right him, he would have passed White Barrio. But then he cracked him again right-handed, and that caused him to shift right into White Barrio. And that was it for him.
Right up his ass.
Oh, yeah. But you saw that little that burst, after running a mile and an eighth and not getting your right trip, to still be able to kick it in like that. You saw the talent. That's what you're looking for in races like this. You saw him accelerate. Yeah. But again, the problem is next race is 20 horses, probably going to get even a worse trip. And, who knows what can happen, down the stretch with this horse next time. So he's a beautiful horse, though. My goodness. We were watching that race, in the post parade. I was like, damn, this horse, he's something. He looks really good. So, yeah, he's gonna be a huge hype horse here in a couple of weeks. Just wait for it. When he gets to Churchill Downs and start working out over that track, they're gonna go crazy for this horse.
Oh, he leads the goods. He looks the goods. And everyone kind of wondered at first it was Emmanuel, then Charge It made his appearance. Then you kind of wondered who's the better horse. Emmanuel doesn't run so hot in the Fountain of Youth. Of course, we'll see him this weekend to see if he can redeem himself. But the point I'm making is when you watch Emmanuel's Fountain of Youth, they both lost their races, and then you watch Charge It in the Florida Derby. Like, that's what you wanted to see from Emmanuel. Mm-hmm. Like, he still ran a good race, and it gives you hope. If Charge It's race would have been the Fountain of Youth, say, you know what I mean? Like, one more, so he had one more prep to get it right, and then go to the Kentucky Derby. That would be so huge. But unfortunately, he's just a race behind. Which makes he's gonna have, like, I hope he runs in the Derby, runs poorly or gets in trouble and finishes like mid-pack. Then you get a solid price in the Belmont, something that, he's not going to be a huge short price. So that's the hope. We were at the Arkansas Derby. The filly, Secret Oath, tried to take on the boys. The coach said today, or at least the interview I saw was released today, that he thought he had the best. He still thinks he had the best horse in the race. She finishes third. Cyberknife wins. Barber Road does his thing where he gets up for second. Thoughts on the Arkansas Derby? I don't think we saw the Derby winner.
No, I don't think we saw the Oaks winner either. I hate to say that, but I just think it's not really a knock on her more than, man, there's just horses that are moving up. There's horses that look good in this crop of 3-year-old fillies right now. She's definitely a player in it. We kind of talked about it. Don't have to rehash it too much. Not a strong race. She looked like she was going to be a monster. She looked like she was going to circle him, and she flattened out. So, if Lucas has found a little problem she might have had in the race and he can get it corrected, then that's one thing. But, she stepped up against good company. She ran good, just not good enough. And with Cyberknife, it was a better race. He's starting to kind of get it ironed out. He still had some problems. You watch the head on of the stretch. He's in, he's out, he's all over the place. So he's still not got them all ironed out, but he was pretty good. He kind of moved into a hot pace and took over and was able to beat a pretty suspect field.
I mean, yeah, how do you feel with her now in the Oaks? Do you think, because, immediately after we were like, well, I get why they did it. It makes sense why they ran, but I'm not sure it did her any favors.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, a lot's going to depend on what happens this weekend, how, what the field actually shapes up as. Right now, I've got her like third for that race. Kathleen O looked awfully good. I think Adari Manor is going to look good this weekend. So Happy Soul is running tomorrow, stretching out. If she can carry that speed going 2 turns, she's very interesting as well. So it's a deep group, and Secret Oath is kind of just one of 5 or 6 that are pretty good now. Instead of, a month ago, we're like, wow, she just looks the best right now. So it's competition, I think, is going to be her biggest problem. I mean, she's definitely a worthy candidate to win, but it's going to take a big race to win this Oaks this year.
Jared says we get 4-1. If we can get 4-1 on Secret Oath, do you bet her?
No.
Honestly, I think the winner is running on Saturday, so we'll find out. That's kind of what I thought even before the Arkansas Derby. So Adair Manor, I think she now to see what she does after the post Bob Baffert barn. We'll see what a lot of these will do, but I really like Adair Manor.
Yeah, I do too. And like I said, the Kathleen O race was wildly impressive, I thought too. So you threw her in there where we knew who Kathleen O was. Obviously, she'd won a stake, she'd look great, but we didn't know that she was that good, right? And that was what we saw at Gulfstream and the Gulfstream Park Oaks. She looked really good. So all of a sudden, it's like 4-1 on Secret Oath. No, I think Kathleen O's a little bit better. Like you speculated on Dari Manor. We'll see. But if she runs really well, then all of a sudden it's like Secret Oath probably should be about the fourth choice in the race. Mm-hmm. And it's really not because she did that much wrong, other than just she didn't run as well as some of these horses ran in their final preps. She still did well, but these other horses look really good.
Well, if you're a backer of her, still you've got to be excited because you are due to the optics. We talked about this after the race. It's like if she would have ran in the fantasy that day instead and romped like she would have, then all of a sudden she might be the favorite in the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah.
And now she ran the exact same way, let's say, in this race in the Arkansas Derby, and everyone's like, oh yeah, like we're talking. So yeah, I mean, Equizulu will take more money. Adair Manor, if she wins, Kathleen O, like, yeah, you're gonna get the price if you still think she is the goods. That being Secret Oath. Adair Manor is going to be interesting just because even when if and when she wins this weekend, you're like, we still don't know what she is because she hasn't faced anything, and it's these small fields, and she get her to the Kentucky Oaks, and it could be a different story. Curtis says, nice picture, by the way, Curtis Manlow. I'm glad that it's cut off right there. Let's just say this. Yeah. He thinks everyone is too down on Emmanuel. He's 5 wide the whole way. It almost got tripped at the top of the stretch. I kind of agree with you. I do think we are a little. Halter and I think are more on Emmanuel than most in the Racing Dudes team. It's judging by the Bluegrass wager guide we put out in the top 4. I know Halter and I included Emmanuel, but I just don't think. Again, if you compare him to how Charge It ran, Charge It didn't get a great trip either. And if you compare him and you got to look back, like simplification, like we kind of have shown, like he's not all that great. And Wide Barrio is a very good horse who beat Charge It. I don't know. Like the ending of the Fountain of Youth is what has done me. And this horse is really going to have to. He's got a chance, right? He's got the chance this weekend to prove, that he is what we kind of thought he was prior to the Fountain of Youth.
I mean, I guess we'll get into it a little bit more, but initial thoughts are, I guess, like, what kind of trip are we expecting? It kind of looks like it could set up similar. I thought a week ago maybe there wouldn't be a lot of speed. Ends up a lot of speed kind of entered, and if he's slow out of the gate and doesn't want to get up there and go a little bit faster, probably gonna get the same kind of trip. And that's my worry for him going into this race. I'm with you. Like, it was a horrible trip, but I think it will be better on Saturday, but I don't know how much better.
We'll get into it. Obviously, Fletcher's been very good about winning this race. This has been a good prep for him in the past as well in terms of, prepping for the Kentucky Derby. So, I mean, there's no reason to think that Emmanuel isn't going to improve off of that effort, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he got a lot of experience, and that's kind of why I know myself. I did have to drop him in my rankings, but I still have included him in terms of being a contender just until you see that one more test. And that's what we're going to get. And that's the unfortunate thing with Charge It, like we don't get that. We get him in the Kentucky Derby. So you basically have to decide for the Derby whether he is the real deal or not. Whereas if we got another performance, it'd be amazing.
Charge It missing that middle prep is going to be a killer, just a killer. Because if he runs that race he ran in the Florida Derby, but it's the Fountain of Youth, and then he goes to the Florida Derby off of that, I think we would have really been excited for his chances, right? But now it's like, so much to ask. But, I certainly think with Emmanuel, it's all this weekend. I'm not going to be shocked if he runs well at all, but He's got a lot of improving to do.
Reminds me of a little bit of like, remember Spinoff in the Louisiana Derby?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Prior to he did, he needed to run well that day in the Louisiana Derby, and he did. He just wasn't quite good enough, and he maybe is a little bit like that. Like I could definitely see him running top 2. Yep. Emmanuel, that is. I don't think that would be a shock at all. Dude, Steven, of course we are. How about Tiger?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Tiger. -1, 4 off the lead. What a story. That I don't care if he wins the Masters, but make the cut. Gosh, if he makes the cut, I'll have a hard time concentrating on all the 3 Derby preps plus the Masters going on Saturday. Sunday, that's what I know what we'll be doing is watching the Masters all day, but while we're driving. But
yeah,
dude, yeah, I cannot. Christopher says he's lost so much money on Spinoff. I'm sorry. I don't know why you have bet this horse, but
he's a classic today's the day horse. He's a classic today's the day horse.
You might have another one. You might have another one in the bluegrass, not named Emmanuel, the stablemate. You might have another one. We'll talk about that in a second. So let's get to it. We have a big show. We're going to preview the final 3 major 2022 Road to the Kentucky Derby prep races. This Saturday, the $1 million Toyota Bluegrass at Keeneland, the $750K Runhappy Santa Anita Derby at Santa Anita Park, and of course the $750K Wood Memorial from Aqueduct. Let's go.
It was different.
Do what?
That was different.
I know. I'm changing things up. I'm trying to
like
just, mix it up a little bit.
Oh man, big show.
All right. It is make sure you got, give us your thoughts. We're going to go through all 3. We're going to go Keeneland, Santa Anita, and Aqueduct for these preps. So if you got thoughts, good or bad, we want to hear them.
Even the bad ones?
Halterman will answer all questions.
Yeah, right. Yep. I'm here.
All right. Let's see here. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to preview the 3 Kentucky Derby preps this week. And before we do, though, if you got the 2022 Bluegrass Wager Guide yet, it's all inclusive, 14 pages. Included with this Bluegrass Wager Guide this weekend at Keeneland includes all 5 stakes on the card, including, of course, the $1 million Toyota Bluegrass. You'll get bonus race-by-race analysis, betting suggestions, multi-race plays for Keeneland's entire Saturday card. But there's more. You got the Santa Anita Derby. You got the Wood Memorial. You got the Santa Anita Oaks, all in there, plus top 4 consensus picks from the whole team at racingdudes.com for the 8 stakes combined throughout the country. We all have our top 4 plays. Last week at the Florida Derby, we absolutely crushed. We hit everything. Halterman hit the early pick 5 for like $1,500, $1,400. The consensus picks were on fire. We almost missed nothing. It was unbelievable. What a huge day. We got 3 previews of the Kentucky Derby prep races, 1 Kentucky Oaks prep race. All this included in the wagering guide. Go get that at racingdudes.com on the premium page. All right, let's kick things off at Keeneland. It's good to be back at Keeneland, even though the weather's going to suck. Race 9 on Saturday, the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes, grade 1, $1 million. 3-year-olds going a mile and an eighth. Again, this is the last Derby prep race. Last Derby set of Derby prep races, 140, 20, 10 for your top 4 finishers. So you win, you're in. Second, you're in. Second or third, if depending on who you are, you're in. And we got the largest field of the 3 we're going to talk about. Field of 12 lines up here. Smile Happy, your 9-5 morning line favorite. Hasn't won this year, but we've only seen him once. And, he ran you look back, and especially of what Epicenter is and what kind of he's proven to be now. He didn't run a terrible race for his first race off the layoff. So Smile Happy, 9-5, finishing second, last out in the Risen Star. It's a fair... He deserves to be the favorite. Are you going to use him?
I'm going to use him, but not on top. I just don't trust the trainer, especially with a 9-5 horse. Also with the jockey, we kind of saw a little bit of a weird ride in the Louisiana Derby. I do think he has a ton of talent, though. I think he's one you're going to have to use on your tickets as far as multis go. But no, I didn't put him on top. I'm a big fan of this horse. I've had him ranked number 1 for a while, but him and Zandon earned the same time form speed figure for that race in the Risen Star. So let's say they're on equal footing after that race. Well, who do you trust to get a horse to pop and run bigger? Chad Brown or Kenny McPeek? And we've seen, highly motivated came here and almost beat Essential Quality last year for Chad Brown. I mean, it was close. We saw Good Magic come here and rump before. I'm not sure if Zandon is as good as those two horses, but I think he's going to run a huge race in here. I really do. So I'm going to go number 4, Zandon on top. I think Brown sends this horse over here ready to roll. And listen, if Smile Happy can match it and improve, then we're going to have a really good race. But I kind of think Zandon will take over at the top of the stretch and kick clear. The more I look at this, the more I think this field isn't great. It's going to be the 4 or the 10. And I think I've got more confidence in Chad Brown in this spot.
I think I'm going to say something here that you might not like. I think there's a little too much hype on Zandon. I think we're overhyping him for he's done nothing. I'm going to use him, and I think you have to. But it's like, what has he done? I mean, he finished. He was good effort in the Risen Star, but he wasn't close. I mean, he ran well, and he should have proved. But guess what? The horse who beat him that day should as well. I completely agree with you on Chad. I mean, come on, there's no comparison. Chad Brown versus Big Peak. I mean, that's not a question. In terms of a price, sure, you're going to get a better value on Zandon. Smile Happy, I just couldn't get past him. Epicenter is, I mean, as of now, he's the number 1 horse, 3-year-old, and Smile Happy with a better trip in the Risen Star certainly is close. I mean, he's within a length of him, right? I mean, he's right there. I mean, he ran a good race, all things considered, probably his best race of his career. Now, yeah, you wonder what McPeak is going to do, and you almost would rather play Rattle and Roll, his stablemate, who's you're at least getting the McPeak price, right? The price that you should get with McPeak. So that's the dangerous part. There's no way I would bet Smile Happy to win here. Just can't trust it. But in terms of who I think is going to win, who am I going to play in my multis? Obviously, Smile Happy is that horse, and I think he's the best of a so-so bunch in this race.
Again, I think Zandon and him are the best of the bunch, and this field isn't any good. I don't think. And so that I agree. Like Smile Happy, definitely. I think him and Zandon are the ones, but it just really comes down. I don't think either one of them are that good. So it really just kind of comes down to who the trainer is, in my opinion. We've seen Brown do this time and time again in this race. The race before, you're like, yeah, that horse isn't very good. And they come here and they pop. I just think that's what it came down to for me. I trust that Zandon's going to show up and run a big race. I hope that Smile Happy is going to show up and run a big race. And I think that's the difference. Like, I've just got more confidence that Chad Brown will have this horse ready to pop. Overall, like, who is the best horse? Who has the most talent? I think that's where it gets pretty debatable. And I think leaning Smile Happy makes sense based on the resume and what we've seen. But, I just can't get out of my mind that Chad Brown, when he has a good 3-year-old, this is the race they usually run their best at. And if Zandon runs an improved race from what we saw out of him last time, which I'm fully expecting, I think he's going to be awfully tough to beat.
I think I have this weird feeling, and maybe it's not a weird feeling because it's maybe not all that surprising, but with the 6 here, Emmanuel, I think Saez and Pletcher probably telling him to as well. It's like, dude, no matter how you break, you get this horse for placement. Don't care how much you need to use him if he doesn't break well, but you cannot get into the disaster that you were in the Fountain of Youth, because this is not going to happen. I would be highly surprised if Emmanuel isn't in the top tier of whatever group it is, whether top 2, top 3, when they through the half of this race, the first quarter, or I'll say the first half of the race. Like, there's no way, I don't think, after the way this horse, I mean, yes, Fenwick has shown, and he did last time when he faced the stablemate with Command Performance, but Emmanuel's got to be faster than him. And if he wants to get out there, I think he can. I think the way that Emmanuel wins this race, or at least shows up top two, say, is he goes and gets forward placement. And they're going to have to run. Because he did show, whether the Fountain of Youth, he was in the lead for like, what, 10 feet, but He was in the lead. He made he made that huge turn or that huge move, got in position, and then he folded because he was tired or whatever, what excuse you want to make for him. But he is capable of pouncing, so if he can sit in the right position and save that kick for, say, top of the stretch, he should be dangerous. He's a more than, this horse is a more than ready colt. More people that had followed the game for a long time. I had to look it up, so I'm not going to act like I'm super smart, but more than ready got second in the Bluegrass back in, I think it was like 2000, maybe. It was a long time ago. But, so, I mean, it would be fitting, right? Get second in this race, head to the Kentucky Derby, and be probably no chance whatsoever. Not going to sit here and think he will. But I do think Emmanuel has a big chance to hit the board.
I think you said it best. It's all about how he falls out of the gate. Does he get out there and get position? You got to think that's what the plan has to be after what happened at the Fountain of Youth. You have to. It's all about that. I look at this and it's like, okay, his stablemate drew the rail. He's kind of got some early speed as well. I don't know who's going to be ahead, Command Performance or Emmanuel out of the stablemates in the first turn. I'm not sure because of how just lackluster he was when stepping up and facing Stakes Company last time out. The other problem with him, I think you got a lot of cheap speed in this race. Like I think Trademark, Grantham, Volcanic, if he breaks a little better, I think he'll get out in front as well or be up there. So it's like, God, if you rush him, he might be up there with that cheap speed. I mean, this is really going to be a rider's race for Emmanuel. They don't need to overthink it. I think the biggest thing is get him out of the gate. Get him out of the gate. And then you push him, and then it's just like wherever he falls from that point on, you take it. But don't get him boxed in. Don't get him, sandwiched out of the gate. That's the big key. I certainly don't think he needs the lead, but I think he's got to be a little bit better forwardly placed. Saez has got to do a great job in here. He's going to need to have a flawless ride to win this thing.
Well, it is good to see that Saez is back aboard again. So it tells you, okay, they're going to, he's going to give us another go. Got some experience under his belt in that stakes race. And, Curtis says it wasn't that Emmanuel broke slowly, got pinched out of the gate and then shut off for the first turn. Well, that happens when you don't break very well.
Yeah.
When you don't break very well, you get pinched. Look at Secret Oath in the Arkansas Derby. And maybe it's not that you don't break well. It's that you're slow out of the gate. You maybe broke fine. You didn't pause. You broke out at the same time everyone else, but you're just slow out of the gate. And before you know it, boom, pinched back. And then it's over for you. At least if that's and maybe that's over, but your work is cut out for you at that point.
You hit it on the head. It's not that he stumbled. It's not that he had any trouble breaking. It's just he was slow. He didn't get himself in position.
Right.
And that's what we're saying. I don't think he needs to go gate to wire. I just think he's got to get in position this time. Because if he doesn't, it's going to be the same thing. And we're going to hear the same excuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so on the fence with him. I think he's like a defensive use for me, honestly, in the multis. Because if you've looked at the races, there's singles around this horse, kind of, at least in my opinion, or races where you can just have to go too deep and that's it. So I think you can spread a little bit in here, and I think you should. I really think you should. And let me tell you something. If Zandon or Smile Happy win this race, boy, it just looks that much better for Epicenter as well. So he could really be flattered on Saturday.
I'll give you two horses, and let's debate them real quick because they're two that aren't who we're talking about, and two that I know myself, I'm guessing you probably did as well a little bit, that I kind of went back and forth on in terms of maybe not winning the race, but horses who could sneak up and run a decent race and potentially get into the Kentucky Derby. I'm shocked he's even in it. How about number one, Command Performance, who does have the number one time form number of everyone in the field, You can say what you want. He does. I didn't make up time for him.
Yep.
Or Ethereal Road for D. Wayne Lucas. Probably should have won the Rebel. Didn't. And, of course, he's here, Secret Oath State at the Arkansas Derby. So between those two horses that you think could maybe make some noise enough, obviously Ethereal Road has got almost enough points, really, with that Rebel. So he just really needs to run an okay race here, and he'll get in.
So I may be crazy, but I think Ethereal Road is dangerous in this spot, especially if we get a little moisture in the track. I know the Rebel was listed as fast, but that track was getting a little wet by the time they ran that race. I think he's dangerous because I think he's on the improve. Every race seems to be getting a little bit better for Ethereal Road, and it's just he kind of seems like the one, if that pace does set up, maybe he's closing and getting second or third, and kind of sneak it in the back door of this thing. I don't think he's anything special, but I do prefer him over Command Performance. To talk about Command Performance for a minute, I'm not about to go from a video where we sit there and fucking just laugh at this horse for 10 minutes to thinking he's going to win the Bluegrass just because Irad Ortiz is here. I'm not going to do it. He's not for me. He can be for other people. What I saw at Tampa was a joke. I didn't like the horse anyway. I thought he sucked in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Don't want to hear the excuses. His 1:16 time form is the top one, but it did come in a one-turn race. And so that's the question mark there. Listen, even if he would have won that maiden, he's not for me. I've never liked this horse. And I'm not going to pick him here. Is he going to run better than he did at Tampa? I would definitely say he'll run better. I don't know how you could run worse than what we saw in that last race.
Fenwick, the horse he did beat, or that beat him, I'm sorry, is to his inside or his outside there, number 2. We talked about him a little bit. Yeah, he's going to run better. That was all off a long layoff. I don't think either one. I mean, if you're going to say who I think could win, I would probably lean more towards Ethereal Road, who I think has got a pretty decent chance to finishing top 4 here. Give you Command Performance. I get that he's not that good, but he also just kind of I feel like he's going to run the same kind of race, whether it be a grade 1 or a claiming race. He just has that look of a horse that's just going to, and they wanted to make sure Irad rode him, and he is, right. He made sure. That's kind of the big reason why that he showed up here versus, sounds like, running in the Wood Memorial, which is crazy. Like, after that effort that they even are thinking about Derby prep. But here we are. The horse has 6 points. I think he got that from the Juvenile, right?
Yep.
Finishing 4th in the Juvenile. So he's got 6 points. He just I guess if he got 3rd, 26 would probably be enough. Hey, they're going to run him. If he gets in the Kentucky Derby, they'll run him. No doubt.
I agree. They will.
Dude, this horse ran 4. Well, he'll run 5 times after Saturday's over with. He's ran 5 times. 3 of them grade 1 races.
Mm-hmm.
And the horse is netted. Well, today he's at $250,000. And the horse is 0 wins.
Yep.
I mean, say what you want. I get he's a mule. He kind of looks like one too. He actually looks really good, but he runs like one.
Right.
But dude, the horse is banking money, just not winning. So
yeah, that's fair.
Who would you bet? Who would you rather bet in this race to hit the board? Command Performance, or I've seen a few people talk about Rattle and Roll in the comments.
These 2 horses, I wouldn't bet with anybody's money for any placing.
No, you have to. You have to bet one of these to show, or else, Heather has to get sent to McPeak to be his mistress.
Well, that's disturbing. I'll take Command Performance, to be quite honest. Rattle and Roll, every time this horse runs, we've got people going, this is it. This is his race. This is his race. He's going to be loaded here. He's not for me. Y'all bet him, that's fine. He's not for me. He's never been for me. He's never going to be for me. He wins this race. People think he's going to win the Derby, and I'll sit here and go, he's not for me. What has he done to warrant? He's 8-1. What has he done? He was bet down to 9-2 in the Fountain of Youth and got 6th. And he was 6-1 last time out in the Louisiana Derby and got 4th. He was beaten 8 and 7 1/4 in both of those races. I guess if you want to bet him at 8-1 in this race, go for it. But he's not for me. I'll if I had to bet one, I would take Command Performance. But he's not for me either.
I knew you didn't like Rattle and Roll, so I just really trying to get you to say Command Performance somewhere that you would bet Command Performance. That's what I heard. So
it comes down to why am I picking Zandon over Smile Happy? Well, I trust Chad Brown will have the horse, ready over McPeak. Why are you picking Command Performance, over Rattle and Roll in this scenario? Well, Todd Pletcher, I rattle keys. I mean, right. Am I going to show up and run better than he did last time? Right? I don't know. I mean,
can't be worse, like you alluded to.
Now, I do think it is possible Rattle and Roll gets up and gets the top 4 again. It's kind of, can he do what he did in the Louisiana Derby? Yeah, I think he can. But I don't think he can get past that. I really don't. He is coming back to the same place where he won the Breeders' Futurity. So, maybe that helps. Third off a layoff. Maybe that helps a little bit. But until he does it, I'll let him beat me. And, that's just how it is.
All right. 12 horses. I'm trying to think who's I guess Smile Happy's kind of in right now. I'm gonna stop doing. You think 3.5? Is it over? Probably over, right?
Smile Happy, Zandon.
Well, Smile Happy really just needs to hit the board and he's secure.
I'll go. I really think they're better than the rest of these horses, and that's going to eat up points if that happens. I'm going to go under.
Under 3.5. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, shit. Rattle and Roll. If he gets 4th, he's going to be in.
Yeah, he's got 20 points. Him and Ethereal Road both have 20. So either one of those horses sneak up there for 3rd or 4th, and they're going to get in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still going to go under. I'm thinking it's going to be 3 out of this.
It's probably fair because
it's probably the toughest one you've asked yet, to be honest.
Yeah, because it really could go both ways.
Yep.
Because if you do have a chalky Smile Happy over Zandon or vice versa, like you say, those two eat them up, and then say you get Rattle and Roll 3rd or something. Well, then and Emmanuel 4th. Well, there's 3 horses. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all you're gonna get. So. Yeah, I mean, or on the flip side, you could get those 2, or maybe one of those 2. Zandon finishes 4th, and Smile Happy over Ethereal Road, gets in or something.
Forget about him. Yeah, I mean, I forget about him. All he has to do is finish 4th, and he's going to be in too. So,
yeah,
he's one. He could finish 2nd, or he could finish 10th. To me is the definition of a wild card. You could see that going either way, and you're not going to be real surprised with either one.
All right. Let's see. You've got the number 4 Zandon. I've got number 10 Smile Happy to win the Bluegrass. All right, let's go to Santa Anita, race 6 on Saturday. The Runhappy Santa Anita Derby. Grade 1, $750K for 3-year-olds going a mile and 1/8. Another Derby prep, 140, 2010 for your top 4 finishers, and smallest field of the weekend in terms of Derby preps. 6 horses, but dude, 3 of them are super legit, or at least have the possibility of being top end. Forbidden Kingdom 6-5, Messier even money, and then out of nowhere comes, I guess, the Yak Teen barn, the Baffert barn, Taba, the freak, one starter, the sprinter, the one sprint race, Taba 4-1, just they throw this horse in, adds a complete mix to the race. Thoughts on Taba entering in the race and how this affects kind of the overall picture?
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable to think that Taba has entered here after there was no talk of it whatsoever. here he is. It definitely sets up a different kind of pace scenario because it kind of just seemed like Forbidden Kingdom goes to the front and SCA sits right behind. And then it's kind of a match race down the lane. Now Taba, he's got the speed to set the pace, right? So him and Forbidden Kingdom, I think, are got a chance to go out there and try to run with each other. Forbidden Kingdom, they might say, well, if he's flying out there, Taba, let's kind of take off with Forbidden Kingdom and see what happens there. That's kind of a thing that could happen or could set up that way. Listen, to me, I think Taba's ultra impressive. I just think this is a big ask to go out, go 2 turns, be running with a horse like Forbidden Kingdom. I think it's going to set up for Messier. I think, having those 2 targets out in front of him, and, you think they're probably going to both be running fast. I really believe Messier gets a perfect setup here. I'm going to go Messier in this spot. I think he gets it done.
That was the plan, right? I mean, that was what you thought going into it. And then Taba gets entered. And you think, uh-oh, that's interesting. And, Dennis says if they didn't go out and pressure Forbidden Kingdom, they don't know what they're doing unless they believe he's better than Messier. Well,
yeah,
kind of the thought. But then you like, why are they going to enter a $1.7 million horse who's ran once, who has different owners, the same owner as the late Medina Spirit? Why are they going to – why they're not running him to be a rabbit for another horse out of the same barn? I mean, if they're the same ownership, sure, but it's not like Taba. At least we've seen one start. It's not like he's cheap speed. I mean, he might be, but we don't know. He doesn't seem like he is. So it's super interesting the fact that you choose to run here, especially when you kind of think allowance, Preakness. That would have been like a very easy path to get to. If he's obviously good enough, or they think he's good enough to run in this race, certainly that path wouldn't have been all that difficult to do. And yeah, here we are with Messier, a horse that's been just unbelievable. You only seen him one time, but shit, he's all over everybody's top 3, top 2 even. It's super interesting. And I'm not gonna sit here and ignore it. I ended up putting Taba on top, and it's more than anything. I saw someone said the same thing. It's more of a gut feeling for me. Just they entered him in the race. I don't know why. And maybe he's just the best. When I claimed this horse, I was like, I think he might be the most impressive 3-year-old I've seen so far. I just didn't think he would run here, and I'm going to lean on that. So I think you have to use Messier as well. I'm actually going to play against Forbidden Kingdom. I think he might, even if Taba does turn out to be kind of cheap speed, I think he's going to be enough of a nuisance to Forbidden Kingdom to soften him up enough for Messier. So I like the 2 quote unquote Bafferts.
We're calling them Yafferts. I don't know if you got the memo on that.
Yafferts. I love it. That's even better.
I saw much thought of that the other day on the live show. I respect the pick. I really do. I think Taba's awfully good, and I think your theory is probably right. I get it. On paper, it's like, oh, well, there's the rabbit. Okay. Cost $1.7 million. He got a 120 time for him on debut and absolutely smoked. You don't enter this horse to be a rabbit. You just don't.
Messier has a 103 buyer. Taba got a 103 buyer.
It's like he's too good to be a rabbit. Like, you don't mess around with a horse like this.
Right.
Now, if they turn out that that's what they did, that's like, wow, this is some serious craziness, right? But I just kind of feel like they entered him and they said, hey, it's a 6-horse field. The other 3 horses, I mean, they're all going to have to hop in the back of a car to beat us. So they're horrifically bad. Hey, we'll run third if he sucks, and not sucks, but if he just can't handle it, we'll just run third and we'll regroup. But what if he wins? What if he gets second? We're in the Derby. So I like it. I think it's interesting.
It does.
I think he's going to get beat, but I think it's interesting.
And there's not any races for him to run in either. That was key too. Haltern or Magic and I were looking at, like, there was no allowance races for him to fill. You remember with Justify, they kind of had to sneak Justify in to even get that allowance race to fill, because they kind of said, oh, he's going to run the Sunland Derby, and then boom, here he is in allowance. you kind of wonder if maybe, I mean, that's in the back of my mind. Like, hey, even if we do finish third here, we're still go to the Preakness, right? It's a race under our belt to get them aim for that. And we've seen in the past, like if Baffert or Yaffert has 2 horses in a race, they never compete for the position, right? Like they're not going to both go to the lead, or they're not going to both sit off. Like they're going to make it to where they kind of work together. So to Messier being a horse that can sit off, you would think Taba, who showed extraordinary speed in his debut, they're going to be like you kind of like go, and whether you caused, if you hurt Forbidden Kingdom and in the process hurt yourself, or maybe you're just a freak and you run off away from everybody and you win the thing, or maybe you hang on for second and you get to run in the Kentucky Derby. I mean, that's possible too. You just got to finish top 2 in this race and you run in the Kentucky Derby. That means you have to beat 4 horses.
Yep.
You have to beat 4 horses to run in the Kentucky Derby. And we're sitting here saying, I don't think either one of us, I'm picking him, you're picking him. I don't know where you picked him, but
second.
We're saying that he is, if not, he's easily one of the most impressive 3-year-olds we've seen this year. And he's got to beat 4 horses in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point about maybe the allowance didn't fill, Kevin B, I'll put your comment up here real quick. He said, how disgusting is the rest of the card that the Santa Anita card outside of the Derby? Yeah, because they can't fill any races. Like all these races are short ass fields. So maybe they tried to get him an allowance, like you said, and it's like, well, they got 2 entries. Yeah, So I mean, it's just one of those things. It's not perfect, but where else are you going to run him? And what's the worst that could happen? He just goes with flames out. Well, you just regroup with him a little bit, So it comes right down to it. I just think his stablemate Messier's got a little bit more experience, got the experience around 2 turns. I can't think that Taba's not going to be a little tired in the stretch of this race, no matter what happens. And I think Messier will come get him. That's how I really think Taba's going to run Forbidden Kingdom into the ground. And I think it's going to be the Yafferts or the Baff teams, as Special Gold Kitten would like to say, are going to try to, work their magic. Yeah. Shake and bake on Forbidden Kingdom. And then Taba's going to just say, okay, Ricky Bobby, Messier, there you go. Come past me. So.
Oh shit, that's great. What's he say? Whenever he's like, whenever at the end of it, when he's like, he realizes that he's doing the shake and bake. Oh, Cal. What about Dennis has a good question because there actually is 3 Yafferts in the race.
Yep.
And the 2, what are Marniac? He's one that, just for reference, 2 back went gate to wire in the San Felipe with Forbidden Kingdom. Doppelganger was in there as well. He tried, right? That was kind of the rabbit, so to speak, for Doppelganger. Didn't work because he was nowhere near fast enough to hang with Forbidden Kingdom. So is the 2 in this race? Like, could we be wrong? Could the 2 be the one? They're like, hey, let's send him again, try to pressure Forbidden Kingdom, and we have 2 bullets to try to run him down? Or is it, hey, again, 6-horse field, let's throw him in again?
The problem is he is one that looks like a rabbit, right? Like that's a rabbit. Okay. He's worthless to this race. But I think after what we saw last time, they're going to have to use the whip like on the first turn if they want to stay with the horse. That's
maybe they do.
Taba might be faster in a gallop than this horse is all out. That's the problem. So, I think, in a perfect world, they probably like, we'll send him and see what happens. I mean, maybe he can do a little bit better job running with like Forbidden Kingdom early now that we're stretching out. But I don't know. I'm sure, in a perfect world, yes, this is what they have got this horse entered for. He wasn't very successful doing it last time. I don't know. Maybe he can do it this time, but it's just like, damn, you're going to have to get like a lot faster early to compete with him. And we'll see if he can do it. I like I said, that would be the ideal circumstance. He's worthless. So get him out there. If he gets, ate up, big deal. He's not going to win anyway. And then you got both of your entries ready to go after Forbidden Kingdom, who's hopefully soft up. But May not be a perfect world. I don't know if that horse has the ability to do it or not.
For a 6-horse field, it certainly is a incredibly intriguing race.
Yep.
You're gonna be on pins and needles watching this thing as it unfolds at the beginning stages to see where everyone's placed, because in a 6-horse field, that's kind of the interesting part about it, is there's not a lot of like question marks, and because there's not a lot of traffic issues or they didn't break. 6 horses, like, they're going to get in their positions where they kind of planned, and then you're going to see what happens. So it's going to help you get a pretty good indication early on in this race, I feel like, of how this race is going to unfold. All right. I think I hate to go 3.5 because it's only 6 horses, and Forbidden Kingdom already has enough points. He's got 50 points, so he doesn't even need to run really. He's in. So I guess 2.5 because Messier still has no points. And obviously Taba has no points. And, if he's one of those two, if they go 1-2, then you're going to get over that 2.5. So I'll do 2.5. I think we would say over, right? Because I think we both have the efforts 1-2.
Yep.
Just flip.
Yep. I'd have to answer over, with the assumption that if Forbidden Kingdom gets third in this race, they're still going to go to Kentucky. Certainly, you'd think they would, but you never really know. But yeah, I'll go over. I think all three are in the Derby. I don't know. My dad was kind of telling me today, I think you're overrating Taba a little bit. That's really hard to go from a maiden to a stakes like this. But it's like, I don't know. I think I'm going over. I think he'll run well enough to get second or first.
I think you will say this now, not to. If Taba were to go and win this race, he is. You can't say he's the second coming to Justify, because we don't know what he's going to do after this. But in terms of prior to the Kentucky Derby, he very much is, because to go and win this race, and let's not forget, Justify had to beat Bolt d'Oro, who was really, really good. Well, Taba's going to have to beat Messier and Forbidden Kingdom if he were to win this race. You know what I mean? So him heading into the Kentucky Derby as a winner of this race would be incredibly interesting. If he finishes second, it's interesting, but it's not as interesting because you're just like, yeah, I mean, he still lost to Messier. Messier is still the clear one or whatever. But if Taba were to win, it just throws a complete just...
And you're kind of saying why I didn't pick him. Because honestly, he's going to have to be better than Justified to win. That's my thought. Because this is his second race. Justified got a 2-turn prep before he beat Bolt d'Oro. This horse is coming out of a 6-furlong race to 1 1/8 and has to beat a horse in Messier, who might be the most talented horse in the whole crop. And Forbidden Kingdom is no slouch either.
But and I agree with you, but just to play devil's advocate, Justified probably would have won on his second start as well.
I mean, maybe.
I agree. I mean, I'm with you, and I think with Taba, I'm basically just leaning on, the wildness, the how impressive he looked, and I get Messier did too, and Robert B. Lewis. So those two, 1-2, flip them whichever way you want. That's who we're picking in the Santa Anita Derby.
Yep. This comment right here to end it. Forbidden Kingdom wins this race. He has to be your go-to guy for the Derby, right? Would be ultra impressive. If it plays out how we're thinking, where the Bafferts are teaming up and taking shots, if Forbidden Kingdom wins,
right?
Whoa, unbelievable win. Yes, I totally agree.
Because let's not forget. I mean, this Forbidden Kingdom has kind of been the Baffert killer, right? Other than Messier, who beat him in the Bob Hope, he took down Pinehurst, McLaren Vale in the San Francisco. Then he took down Doppelganger and whatever the hell the 2-horse Armagnac took them down in the San Felipe. Like, he's been taking shots. Now, granted, he hasn't had to, when he did face Messier, it didn't go well. He lost, but that was last year. So yeah, I mean, if Forbidden Kingdom gets tested again here by not 1 but 2 really, I mean, super impressive horses that boast the high buyers, right? The 103s, and he still beats them, then yeah, I think shit, man. How could he not be, right?
Right.
Let's go to Aqueduct for the final Derby prep of the day. Of course, I think the order is going to be Aqueduct, Bluegrass, Santa Anita Derby, I think. Don't quote me on that. Race 8 at Aqueduct on Saturday, Wood Memorial Stakes, grade 2. $750K for 3-year-olds going a mile in the 8th, field of 8. Lines up for this one, so it's kind of in between the two in terms of field sizes. It's definitely one of the more interesting races, though. Morello, your 8-5 favorite, morning line favorite, 5-2 on early voting, 5-2 on Mo Donegal. Those are your second choices, co-second choices, and that's really it. I mean, sure, you've got a few in here that are bigger prices. You've got a couple Todd Pletchers who he's thrown in there besides Mo Donegal, Golden Code long term, but it really feels like this is the coming out party for one of those 3 horses, and more so the 5 Morello and the 3 early voting, because it kind of feels like we know what Mo Donegal is, but early voting and Morello haven't lost, and both of them have come into this race with kind of question marks of what they really are. Well, they could answer it here.
Yep, I totally agree. This field is much better than usual for the Wood, or maybe the last few years at least. There's some intrigue. There's some real intrigue in this race. I'm a little worried about early voting in here because I think he's going to have some legit runners getting ready to try to run him down. I thought he was very impressive in the Withers. That being said, I thought Morello was even more impressive in the Gotham. The problem is he has to go 2 turns for the first time, but they built it up, right? They keep adding distance as they go. He's just checked every box. I think he's got a tactical advantage over the biggest threat, and that's number 1, Mo Donegal. It's just going to be, early voting in front, Mo Donegal making his move first, Morello making his move first, Mo Donegal coming, with a move a little bit later in the stretch. Who can outkick who? I like the one that can kind of stop the pace in Morello and kind of be a little flexible. I think if he finishes with that same kick that he's been finishing with in the 1-turn races, I think he's able to hold off Mo Donegal late while passing early voting. I like Morello in this spot. I don't like that he's 8-5, but I think he is just a little bit more talented than the other 2 runners. And I think that tactical advantage over Mo Donegal is going to be the difference here.
Yeah, you said it. The tactical part is what's key here. With Mo Donegal, I think the biggest fear with him is I do think if this race just completely collapses and really early voting falters and maybe Morello isn't quite as good as we think he might be, I think Mo Donegal could win. Like I do think he's got, because he is he's kind of true horse. He's going to give you a run, but here's the problem. There's plenty of speed signed on here, and I'm afraid that they'll go too fast, so he'll be further back in the race early on. So you're either A, asking him run earlier in the race than he normally would, or B, he's too far back. And so then when the running starts towards in the turn, top of the stretch, he's got way too much work to do, and it's going to be another case to where he's flying late and he finishes second or third. Whereas a horse like Morello, who's going to sit outside of, say, early voting, should have the trip he needs. He's going to be close. He has enough early speed to where he sits off the pace, but then when he's ready to pounce, he can. The question mark for him is just simply, can he go a mile and 1/8? There's no way to know, but there's also no way to say that he can. You look at those, and I've been the biggest, detractor of this horse. I've given you shit. I've given everyone shit for liking this horse. And then you look at this race, and it's just like, how could he? This is his race to lose. He's going to sit the pace, or sit the trip. The pace is right in his favor. This horse has averaged like 5-length wins in all 3 starts. He's been dominant. So I do think this race, and I don't necessarily think the Wood Memorial or the winner of this race of the Wood Memorial is going to win the Kentucky Derby. With that said, I do think early voting and Morello have the chance of being throwing their name in the hat of being legit contenders. If one of them goes out and dominates or looks really, really impressive. If Morello goes and wins this race like he's been winning the last 3, certainly like the Gotham, then he has to be a player, right, in the Kentucky Derby. How could he not? Because he shows he's got the perfect tactical ability to win races like this. My fear with him is that he's beaten literally nobody, but he also hasn't had to do. I mean, he's beaten the hell out of him. So he's interesting, but I think the race sets up best for Morello.
With Morello, my thing is, I guess it's how you view Dean's List, the horse for Pletcher, who he beat in the Gotham. I kind of think that's a nice horse. That was a horse that was 2 for 2, and maybe a mile was a little too long for him, but he was kind of passing like he was standing still. Like that wasn't a problem. I give him a little bit of credit for that. Yeah, if you really believe in time form speed figures, this looks like a one horse race, right? Like Mo Donegal's time form numbers aren't very good. Early voting's not bad. He definitely seems like the one that can compete best. But Morello's, if he runs that number that he ran last time, it's kind of over. So I don't know. The problem with the Aqueduct thing is when you're winning races at Aqueduct early in the year or late in the 2-year-old year, you're not beating anybody, right? Like none of sure, Unoho won the Rebel, but come on, I mean, guys, this is just a total fluke that happened. It's not like the Withers is this great race all of a sudden. I think we need to stop with that, right?
Right.
I'm not saying the Gotham's
tired of hearing that.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, and again, I'm not saying the Gotham was a great race. It wasn't. It's Aqueduct in the winter, right? Even the Renzo, it's like, Mo Donegal beat Zandon. He kind of interfered with him. And at that point, that was Zandon's second career race, coming off a 6 furlong sprint to a 1.125 miles. So it's not like they were really incredible that day. It's just like we're just hoping, for me at least, I'm hoping one of them jumps up, runs big, and we can talk about him for the Derby. To me, it's just Morello is that candidate of a horse he's just doing it really easy. He is just beating the hell out of whoever's put in front of him. I think he can do it again. There's really no reason to think he can't go 2 turns. Like you said, he hasn't yet. And he's got to prove it for sure. And I get that. But there's really no reason to think he can't up to this point.
Yeah, we still don't know what he's going, like if he's going to have that kind of push button going a 1.8. We don't know that, but at the same time, there's no reason to think that he won't. And I completely agree with you, Mackie.
Yeah, this is the problem.
I agree. And when I picked him, I thought, well, this is the kiss of death. I mean, I may be good when if I stay on a horse, they'll be fine. But if I jump on a horse like this late in the game, it's never good.
Yep,
it's never good. Maybe secretly that's why I'm doing it, just to kind of rub it in just a little bit more. Yeah, just be like, I told you after the race. I told you he sucked,
dude. I can see this guy pointing his finger at me and say, "I told you that horse sucked. I can't believe I fell for him."
And you're like, you picked him, you idiot. So.
Yeah. That's exactly right. It'll be a heated discussion.
Give me a horse that's not named, Mo Donegal, early voting, and Morello, who can make some noise in this one.
I mean, I chose Baris as that horse, the 8 horse. Looks a lot like Morello for the fact that they're building him up race by race, going a little bit longer, winning pretty easily. The problem is it's all against New York breds. So now we got to step up, and that's the big key. Can he step up? As far as going 1.1 miles, don't have any worries. I think he'll be fine. Pedigree says he'll be fine. Just kind of like Morello, but it's the class. That's the problem. Can he handle this jump up in class? I'm not sure, but he's kind of got the look of one that's going to just kind of take back and make a nice run, and hopefully he can pass some tired horses late.
I'll go with the 4 long term, not necessarily to win, but maybe to hit the board. Finish for you got to remember Todd Pletcher not so long ago last year went 1-2 in this race where he shouldn't have gone 1-2 with Dynamic One and Bourbonic.
Yep,
just massive prices. Or at least the winner was. So it would be shocking to see Todd Pletcher run well here. Long term as a horse, obviously I think he's going to go to the lead. That's Mo Donegal's. That is his rabbit. This horse has been favored in the last 3 starts. He hasn't won any of them either. He's a maiden. So he runs kind of the same race every single time. So you kind of wonder if he's just going to run. He's ran a 1.8 before. He's a curling horse. Castellano gets on board. So you got a little bit of a jockey improved there. Not saying he could win, but hey, I'll key him probably in the 3rd and 4th spots long-term at 20-1. So that'll be a nice price to kind of, if you can get that horse home in your tries and your superfectas. But all right, finally, what's Mo Donegal have? He got?
He has 10 and I think he has 20.
He's got 20.
Or he has 20 or he has 4.
No, he's got 12.
He's got 12. Oh, shit. Okay.
And Morello has 50, right? Yeah. So he's already in. I guess the number would be 3.5.
Under. I think the 3 we've talked about to death here are the 3. I don't think we see anybody else.
And Morello, the problem is like Morello wins. He's already in.
Yeah.
So now so probably under it. And 2.5 might even. If I said 2.5, would you say under still?
I'll go over. I think 3 of them are going to qualify. I really do. I don't know. Early voting, he's one that like people. Early voting, a lot of people say, "Oh, he's in," but no, he's really not. So
yeah,
if he was to not run well, he's not going to get in. But I think he'll get top 3 at least.
Yeah, because even Modonico got 3rd. He would have enough to get in. So that's the key here. So yeah, I'll go under the 3.5. I think 3 is the right number as well. You and I are both on the 5 Morello to win the Wood.
A quick note on the 3, or excuse me, on long term, the 4. The horse that beat him is running tomorrow. Talking about Friday, race 7 at Aqueduct, Electability. So
there you go.
There you go. You get a look at that one.
You actually got you go back and I mean you got a long term did that race got a pretty good buyer speed figure as well as a time form number.
Yeah.
So we'll see how legit that number is. You say if that electability comes back and runs really well, then maybe the 4 at least could get. I mean, my key is on the 4 is that he just gets brave and it takes a little bit more effort to pass and still can hang on for 3rd or 4th. But I don't necessarily feel like he could win.
Well, what did I tell you when we were talking on the phone earlier? Is like my problem is with long term is I've watched him run and be so damn disappointing in races that he should have won. So, but yeah, he's not a bad horse. I definitely will say that. He just hasn't been able to finish the deal. But he's kind of just one that likes to run second, no matter who he's up against.
Right. Yeah. He kind of, like I said, like, Todd Pletcher, he has a knack for just throwing horses that you look at and you're like, what is it? Why are they running in this race? And, it's like, we talked all year long about Pletcher has got all these 3-year-olds and how many is he's going to have like half the Derby field. And then it went the other way. He may not have any. Like, what's going to happen? And then all of a sudden, it's going to be the final weekend, and he's going to get like, what if Emmanuel and Command Performance both get in? And what if you got Mo Donegal in one of these? So you got like 4 in one weekend. Like, it's not totally like out of the picture that it could happen. Yeah, he's already got Charge It and Pioneer Medina. I mean, that's 5-6 horses.
I mean. He's a lot of people are like this. He's so terrible in the Derby. Well, he gets horses to the Derby that shouldn't be there. That's why his numbers are what they are. He
perfectly said. He is better than anybody getting them there.
A lot of stupid horses. Yep, that shouldn't be there are there.
That's why when you get one, that kind of dominates the trail and then gets into the Derby, you got to take for real, right? Yeah. And we've seen that before.
Yep.
All right, that's all the time we have. Check us out at racingnews.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing News premium button at the menu at racingnews.com to learn more. Remember to go get your hands on the inside track to the 2022 Bluegrass Wager Guide, now available. It's now available for sale, 14 pages. We just finished that. It's all on there. Everything you need to cash in big at Keeneland, as well as the other Derby preps and Santa Anita Oaks, where we have Dare Manor in that one. We'll remember, guys, last Friday, I should say, April 1st, we did the Racing Dudes Tournament Challenge. It kicks off again, not this Friday, but the next Friday, which is, what day is that? The 15th, April 15th. Be a Racing Dude subscriber, any kind of premium subscriber, whether it's monthly, whatever package you have, not that kind of package, whatever kind of package you have, you can play in these bi-weekly tournaments. Compete for cash prizes, $150 in horse tourneys credit. we had a great time on Friday. We're going to do it again in 2 weeks. Well, less than 2 weeks, a week from this Friday. So make sure you are a subscriber. And plus, you get all the wager guides for free. Now is a great time to be a Racing Dudes premium subscriber. RacingDudes.com is your destination site for all free horse racing picks to all the major horse racing tracks. We're on Twitter at Racing_Dudes, Instagram and Facebook. Find all episodes of Blinkers Off. But visiting our podcast page, RacingDudes.com, of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the places you listen to your podcasts. Or you can watch them on our YouTube page. Just Google or search for Racing Dudes on YouTube. The Magic Mike Show, what did they do? They did Keeneland Saturday. They did the late pick 4 at Keeneland. So if you want more information for Keeneland, make sure to go check out the Magic Mike Show on all those same platforms. Hey, if you're going to be there, if you're dumb like us and you're going to be at the Bluegrass and it's getting freezing your ass off, let's at least have some drinks together.
Oh, yes, let's do it.
Stay warm.
I want to mention we ran into a lot of people, knew the names of people, but had never met them before at Oaklawn, from whether it be comment section or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Such a good time, man. That's what we love. And if you're going to be at Keeneland, make sure to stop by and say hello. We'll definitely be around. So
we even had some people that would come up and just give us beer because they're like, hey, we love you. And that's the fans that we're really going to talk to.
Yes.
If you give us free beer, we're definitely going to talk.
Yes.
If you don't, we're just gonna be like, hey, yeah, thanks for watching the show. And then it's like, all right, see ya. If you got beer, we'll talk all day. Just keep feeding us beer. Just keep feeding us beer. Or whiskey, maybe. We're in Kentucky. We're gonna need whiskey to stay warm. It's kill two birds.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we'll definitely. I don't know if we'll go as hard as we did for the Arkansas Derby the night before, at least. But we'll be around and we'll be ready for sure, no doubt.
I do have some good news. I did have my first drink yesterday. since Friday, I should say.
That's rough. That's rough. Good job.
We tied one on in a bad way for the Arkansas Derby.
It was bad, but it was good.
It was a great time. Great time.
I got to comment on this. I'll make it very, very quickly because I know a lot of people watching don't care. Magic Carrots asked me FTR versus the Young Bucks. I mean, it's just perfect. That's wrestling. FTR, they're the GOATs. They're the best thing going right now. Guys are awesome. If you haven't seen it, Magic Carrots, find the Ring of Honor pay-per-view where them and the Briscoes went at it. I mean, guys are on another level. They're the best thing in wrestling. I thought they were fantastic. It's a match that I could show Jared and he would be like, holy shit, they brought it. And he doesn't even like wrestling, It was awesome. There you go.
Are they that good?
It's incredible. I mean, they're incredible.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know what FTR and Young Bucks meant. So I'm glad that you answered that for us. So
yeah. So there's 3 tag teams right now that are, the best there's probably been in, since the Steiner brothers, the Steiner brothers.
Of course, yeah.
It's FTR, Young Bucks, and Briscoes. And this FTR, man, they're just, they remind me a lot of the Steiner brothers. They really do. They're just fantastic. They just know how to work. They know how to put together a match. I mean, and they literally beat the hell out of each other. That's the thing. The Briscoe matches, everybody's cut, bleeding last night, and it was awesome.
There we go. Everyone needs to get Halterman to do, he keeps telling me he's going to start doing some wrestling content on the side or on the sports side or a wrestling podcast for the site. And I'm like, tell him to do it.
I don't want to run. We're doing good on YouTube, and I don't want to run off everybody. That's where I'm at right now with it. Maybe later.
I'm telling you guys, you get around. When we were at Arkansas last weekend, and Halterman's wife went with us, and she's just as ate up with it as he is, and they just they'll sit there and talk about it, and it's just a different language.
She looked at me last night, and she said after that match, she said that was perfection. She said it doesn't get any better than what we just saw. I said, what about the match with the Briscoes? We watched that. She goes, nope, that one was perfect. Wow. We ordered our matching FTR shirts. We got those on order after that match last night, so we're excited.
What's the movie that they like those guys like they all like in like they're all like under a spell, or they're like been tricked into that they all are like they love being there, but in reality they're like they can't tell anyone what's really happening, and they don't even know. Like I feel like you've done something to Heather.
It's the
Get
weirdest.
Out, the movie Get Out. That's
yes.
What I feel like Heather is like, she can't tell what's really happening at home.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever experienced, because she, again, like I've told the story before, she made fun of it at first. She's like, you're an idiot. Like, she didn't call me an idiot, but she's like, I can't believe you watched this shit. And all of a sudden she was like, that was pretty good. And I'm telling you right now, anybody in either company, she knows about them now and has opinions on them. And she would be great on a show. Her opinion, she gets mad. She gets, it's hilarious. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, she could talk it almost better than me, I would say.
All right. Well, I need you to do a podcast with her, so we stop talking about it.
Well, okay, maybe Magic's involved with it too, so maybe we could.
Yeah, you've got Magic now, so there's definitely something going on that I haven't got. I mean, apparently, I'm not like whatever your tricks you're pulling. I'm not.
Here's the problem: you watch it and you see some of the dumber stuff, and you're like, "This is so dumb." But if you could stick around and watch like a match like that, you would be back. It was something. It was something to see. It's the best match they've had on that show, and maybe ever. I think.
There you go. All right, you can work on me. I'll try, but I mean, I support it. I support your problem, but I can't seem to get into it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. You don't have to say you're sorry.
All right.
We've lost 50 viewers since we talked about it, so I don't think you're the only one.
Indication there. They're like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? Wrestling? Like first they talk about Taba for 30 minutes, and now they're talking about the barista, whatever we call them, the FTR, I don't know, whatever it is. They're like, fuck this. I'll wait till Saturday and see what they're talking about racing again. But all right, guys, remember we'll be at the Bluegrass, so show up with some whiskey. Come talk to us. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels, never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,